Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to the round 2 of the Altibox Norway chess tournament in 2019. So in the round 2 we had a clash, really it was something special for me. It was again Levon Aronian against Magnus Carlsen, and Magnus Carlsen again with the black pieces, and we saw in the previous Blitz tournament, in this Blitz tournament in Norway, that Levon Aronian can really play some good chess. He really crushed Magnus Carlsen in the previous game in this 3+2 time format. But today they played first this game, this classical game, and it ended in a draw. And after that they had to play this Armageddon game again. If you're not familiar with this Armageddon game, if the game ends in a draw, then both of the players will play the so-called Armageddon game, in which white has 10 minutes on the clock, black has 7 minutes on the clock, and black has to make a draw. If he makes a draw, then he wins the game. So it's really I think a great thing, this Armageddon game, because as I mentioned in my previous video, it doesn't allow you so much calculations through the tournament. You have to play actively, you have to play on the win. But there was a funny thing that happened in the game between Levon Aronian against Magnus Carlsen. Levon Aronian really missed the win in the first game. It was unbelievable what he missed. But first I wanted to show you his opening line against this in this Rosolimo attack, which Magnus Carlsen played often in this World Championship match against Fabiano Caruana. So it was this line: e4, c5, knight on f3, and now knight on c6, bishop on b5. g6, also played by Magnus Carlsen against Fabiano Caruana. Now we have bishop takes on c6, now d takes c6, and now d3. And after bishop on queen on c7, we have castling, and now e5. This is now the idea here for black to play this King's Indian style with the move f5, and really push forward, maybe f4 and then g5 and similar ideas. And here Levon Aronian found a very interesting opening line with bishop on e3. Here knight on f6 was played, and now queen on e1. You see, this queen on e1, it's never have been played in this top grandmaster level. It was very well prepared, the line here by Levon Aronian. Here bishop on g4 was played, and now knight on d2. And here you see the immediate threat was to play the move queen on c3, which could be really deadly here. This e5 would be weakness, the c5 would be a weakness. And you see Levon Aronian really found in the first game in this classical time format a very nice opening. And here I wanted to really go forward to this particular moment of the game. It was the endgame here. You see Levon Aronian with the white pieces. Here Magnus played the move b5, and here Levon Aronian played the move h5. And this was the mistake. Here Levon Aronian should have gone immediately, pushed the pawn on g5. Here if you try something like rook on a1 to go in between, then you can simply go and make progress here. If you try something like rook takes on c3, we can simply take, you say king takes, and then you again push the pawn forward and it's game over. Here if you try something like b4, again you go just simply behind this rook and you don't have any troubles. King on e5 could be the continuation. We can simply go forward, takes, goes forward, and here we have the promotion of queen. So instead of that, here Levon Aronian played h5 and allowed Magnus to play the move here b4. Here rook on d4 was played, and here rook on c4. Magnus simply took one pawn. Here h6 was played, but now you see the problem is now the rook can come in behind this h pawn, and here c takes b4 was played, a takes b4, rook takes on c6. But now it was a really drawish endgame. Levon took this pawn, and after Magnus took this one, it's a completely drawish endgame, because we can of course take in the next couple of moves this pawn. it's a simplified position, so it's really a forced draw. So unbelievable what Levon Aronian missed here. So then he had to play this Armageddon game, and let's see what happened in this Armageddon game between the two of them. So again, Levon Aronian with the white pieces, e4 c5, knight on f3, knight on c6, bishop on b5, and again Magnus goes for g6. Bishop takes on c3, again d takes c3, and now d3. Bishop on g7. You see Magnus changed now the opening line. Here h3 was played by Levon Aronian, and you see Magnus now prevented this idea to go first bishop on e3. And here after h3 and e5, Levon simply castled. But now we have really a different kind of position, because now after the queen comes on c7, we have now the possibility to push the pawn on f5, creating this similar pawn structure like in the King's Indian. Let's flip the board a little bit. So you see the center is cemented. This really hard for white to push the pawns here and try a central pawn breakthrough. Here with f5 it's perfectly fine. You have to basically develop your knight castling and then go for this King's Indian attack, because you have still the bishop on the board. And in some occasions, for those who are familiar with the King's Indian, it's sometimes possible to even sacrifice your bishop for this pawn. So as said, here Magnus changed a little bit the variation, changed the sideline, and here goes really with this more aggressive way with bishop on g7. After queen on c7, we have now bishop on e3 by Levon Aronian, and now b6, fixing the pawn on c5, and here knight on d2 was played. Now knight on e7, and now a3. And I like maybe more this idea to play the move a5, a4, in order to create a so-called blocked pawn structure here, because you'll see in the continuation that Levon Aronian will try pawn breakthrough in on the queen side. It's not a good idea, I think, to open the position when you have the when you're playing against the bishop pair that Magnus Carlsen here has. So that's why here a3. Now Magnus simply goes forward, castles, and now b4. Okay, you have made some progress on the queen side, but here Magnus simply undoubles his pawns. So if you double up your opponent's pawns, you shouldn't undouble them. You should try to create a so-called blockade. Here the position is now really not so dangerous on the queen side, although Levon Aronian launched an early attack on the queen side. But now after f5, I think Magnus Carlsen's attack is much stronger. Of course, with the preparation to play the move f4, if here e takes f5, then we can simply connect these two pawns in the center, still have a very nice flexibility in the game. Simply we can push forward, open, maybe go king on h8, and then open somehow the g file. You see many tactical possibilities here for black. So here after f5, also the threat was, of course, this is a trivial threat, f4 and trapping the bishop, so that's why knight on c4, and now bishop on e6. Knight on g5, attacking the bishop, and now bishop on d7. The bishop is developed, but Levon Aronian kicked it away a little bit, and now queen on e2. And this was now also slight inaccuracy here by Levon Aronian. Maybe a better continuation would have been to go rook on a3, somehow support the defense here on the third rank. Still it's an equal position, but let's again flip the board. I simply love to flip boards. Let's see now this position from black's perspective. I don't think that white has here really sort of something dangerous here. You can play simply straightforward. You have the bishop pair, you have the attack. You have also possibilities to, as I said, with some tactical ideas, you have also possibilities to kick away this knight, which is well cemented. So the blockade system didn't work here for Levon Aronian. Here after bishop on d7, Levon goes queen on e2. And okay, you have connected the rooks, but you see Magnus simply kicks away all of these pieces. h6, knight on f3, and now f4, getting some tempos, bishop on d2, and now g5. Now the main idea is, of course, h5, and then after that g4. So that's why bishop on c3 was played, attacking more this e5 pawn, which is the main weakness, of course, in Magnus' position. But now knight on g6. You see how Magnus really liberated this square for the knight and also attacks Levon Aronian's defense. Still, as I said, I would rather be black here. After d4, you see Levon Aronian plays simply on this d5 e5 weakness, but now Magnus goes simply e takes d4, bishop takes on d4, and now g4. You see, still Magnus is a little bit faster on the attack. Here h takes g4 was played, bishop takes on g4, and the problem is that it's really hard to unpin this knight because the queen doesn't have so good squares. If the queen moves here, then we can simply take the knight on f3, and after g takes f3, here the king would be really naked. The king would be really under enormous threat, so that's why this bishop on g4 is really a huge positional threat here by Magnus Carlsen. c3 was played, and now c5. Again, Magnus just gets a tempo. We have b takes c5, b takes c5, bishop takes on g7, queen takes on g7, and now knight on d6. White's idea is simply to fix the pawn, fix the knight here on f5, but the main problem is that here black has now this supported pass pawn, and although white has the same thing, but there are many pieces here around this pawn on e4, so as said, this pawn could be attacked. Here king on h8 was played by Magnus Carlsen, and now comes this idea, knight on f5. We have rook takes on f5, but Magnus sacrifices the rook, e takes f5, and now this pinning idea. You see the position is a little bit weird here, so you see Magnus has created again a very dangerous attack, but there were a very cool defensive line which Levon Aronian found. Here he played the move f6. After queen takes on f6, he plays first rook on a6, attacking the queen. The queen has to move. Here queen on g7, and now rook on h6. Queen takes on h6, and of course queen on e5 with a check, getting out of the pin. So if the queen comes here, which Magnus Carlsen played in the game, here here Levon Aronian simply took queen takes on g7, and he found all of these tactical moves. Very nice defensive play here by Levon Aronian with a very nice counter attack. But here a better move would have been knight takes on h4. If the queen takes, then we have the fork, and then we have a knight which is more centralized in the game, and that's now a different thing, because in the game, after Levon Aronian took queen takes on g7, king takes on g7, and now knight on h4. And now you see the knight is on the edge of the board. It's not centralized like on the square here on e5. It's a huge difference. Here now we have this supported pawn on the a file on the edge of the board, which a knight of course doesn't like. We don't like when we have the knight to play against this sided pawn on the edge of the board, so it's really hard to catch up with this pawn. And you see here Magnus simply plays a5. We have rook on a1, a4, simply straightforward. Rook on a3, trying to blockade the king on f6, now king on f1. Here king on e5, king on e1. You see king on d5. You see how dangerous this bishop is now. The bishop is also restricting this knight's ability to play, to go towards the center. Here f3 was played, but now bishop on h5, again not allowing this knight to come into the game. Here king on d2 was played, bishop on e8, of course supporting this a4 pawn with some preparations to play rook on b3 maybe, and fix the position with the move c4. King on c1, now king on c4. You see very active play by Magnus Carlsen. Here he goes for the advantage here of this supported pass pawn. Knight on f5, and you see now the knight comes into the game. It's too late because of course here Levon is threatening the fork, but now rook on a6, very nice move by Magnus Carlsen. Knight on g7, bishop on g6, and here king on d2, and now king on d5, and in this position white resigned. So see again, we have now a so-called Zugzwang position in which you see white cannot play with the knight, so this king can play really freely, and in the next move we can really grab the knight. The knight is really out of game. You see how this bishop is really dominating all over the board. So here the knight will be trapped. You cannot play actively with your king. You cannot challenge this f4 pawn. If you try something like g3 or g4, we have also possibilities of an en passant. So this is now of course a completely winning endgame here for black. So I said I'm a little bit sad because, as said here, Levon Aronian didn't use his chances in this first game here. After, as said, b5, here he played h5 instead of g5. He could have really finished off with this game. He could have really grab a point against the world champion, missed his opportunity and got punished because of it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game, and I hope you enjoyed this all Armageddon game. I really enjoyed this battle between my two favorite chess players these days, and okay, it was now Magnus Carlsen's win, but as said, Levon Aronian, I think, is still playing some great chess, and he deserves all of our respect, of course. Okay, meanwhile you can watch my other content on my YouTube chess channel with some other commented chess games, and you can also watch my best chess games of all times if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. And you can also watch my commented chess games played by these top engines, Lila, C0, Stockfish and similar stuff. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.